Nephew of Mr. Nawaz Sharif. I have no way of ascertaining whether that's true. The credentials he offered was his photograph sitting in a private residence with Mr. Sharif, and he made one telephone call in front of myself and a colleague of mine to Mr. Sharif. Sorry, strike that. To a person allegedly being Mr. Sharif, and I have no way of knowing whether that was Mr. Sharif. And they had a conversation in Urdu, which I don't understand. Maybe after 20 years I should have learned Urdu, but maybe if NAB gives me another contract this time, I will learn Urdu. So I have no way of knowing. Let's make the record clear. I am not saying anything beyond that this is an allegation, that this gentleman came and he offered us $25 million to go away. And he showed substantive evidence that he had access to $25 million, at which point I said to him, please call our lawyers and arrange this matter to be settled by a consent order at the arbitration, and we call it a day.
So you are not 100%?
Of course not. What I can be is the allegation he made and the evidence he brought, and that evidence I have made clear what it was. It was photographs as well as a very apparently a very intimate conversation with Mr. Sharif. That's the entirety I'm making. It's a lie. I was involved. I gave the very first check for the funding of the two companies that were investigated. There were other people who put checks in as well, but I was certainly one of the first people to put checks in on day one. So for him, he's either, as I said, he's either negligent, in which case he ought to be chastised, or he's a liar, in which case he ought to be chastised. There is no free ticket for Mr. Shahzad Akbar. And if that's the credibility of the current government of Pakistan, thank you, but no thank you. I will not be accepting a further offer to do more investigations for them. As the judge found, because the Pakistan government did not honor its commitments. We were spending money through the nose and we weren't getting paid. So of course the court did and co-conspired with the late Jerry James, as well as with knowingly or unknowingly, but certainly negligently, with Bilal Sufi. I'm a Sufi, and Sufi was negligent because I told him, do not speak to Broadsheet. Jerry James is not Broadsheet, I am Broadsheet. And he went and talked to them and settled $1.5 million, gave them, and that was it. So no, we don't have Pakistan money, it's with a liquidator. Secondly, the overwhelming majority of it is going to be going to the investors and lawyers who have been funding this thing. I, as an individual, couldn't have funded this thing. Thirdly, had NAB done its job, this money should have come from the bank accounts of thieves who'd stolen your money. This money would have gone for good, so Pakistan would not have seen this money at all. The reason, assuming this money is paid by the Pakistani taxpayer, and I have no way of knowing that, is because NAB didn't do its job. When we found hundreds of millions of dollars in the accounts of thieves, that money had left Pakistan for good. That money had left Pakistan for good. Broadsheet was there to bring it back. Broadsheet was going to take some of the money that had been stolen for the service it was rendering. Let the facts speak for themselves, and do not allow these crooks to spin this thing as though Broadsheet is taking money from the taxpayers in Pakistan. It's not. Broadsheet is taking money from the accounts of thieves who stole money from Pakistan. Democracy is good, and make sure that you hold these crooks to account. That's what I would say to the people of Pakistan. I have no expertise on Pakistani politics beyond what I've learned.
Not politics.